Hello and welcome back. For those of you that caught part one, this is part two. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, right there. This is part two of Thunder Talk FPX. Like I said, I wanted to do a detailed VOD review of one of these games. I might end up doing a KBG game because I think that I really want to talk about them in their macro. But I think that this was probably the best game or best series of WRL so far. Just to refresh your memory, in case you fell asleep during game one, hearing my lovely voice for an hour and 40 minutes. Uh, FPX got out to a pretty good start. They were ahead about like 2k gold. Had a pretty bad fight at the second Drake and Infernal, which swung the game back towards Thunder Talk. I believe they got a Baron after that as well. It was at like 12 minutes. Third Drake didn't even happen because of how long the second Drake fight took. Um, FPX actually was able to secure Elder though off of like a kill in mid, and then they actually get wiped. Vladimir catches out Lucian, and then they catch out the Braum, who was right next to Lucian, and then they just slowly pick them off. Thunder Talk pick off FPX one by one. Thunder Talk take game one. That said, let's restate that it was a very close game, and like although people are gonna look at this and say like, oh, Thunder Talk 2-0, they're a better team than FPX, we move on with our lives. That was not the case at all. Um, so we're gonna get into draft here. I'm gonna skip to the end of draft because I think it's just gonna be a little bit more interesting, especially with what gets picked here. Okay, so starting off, FPX making adjustments from last game. I believe they had the Jax ban here, keeping the same Akali Zoe bans, target bans against Z, the mid laner of Thunder Talk. Probably the second best mid in WRL. I'd feel confident after saying that. I don't know. Obviously, I haven't watched enough of like Sky FL, and I haven't watched like enough Nian recently to know if he's fixed his like big issues that I had with him. Um, so that's hard to know. On the other side, not actually leaving the fiddle up this time. Interesting. They let the fiddle go through last game. Seems like they think it was a problem, so they're gonna go Hecarim Zig, same ban as last time. Ban the fiddle as well this time. I believe they banned the Gragas last time. In response, B1 Gragas, best support in the game besides maybe Ornn. Makes sense. Um, Also a multi-flex. He's not getting flexed in WRL, which is I think surprising because like if someone was to put like a Gragas top, Gragas jungle, I don't think you can play Gragas mid. I think that's a little bit too risky with how bad his AP ratios are right now and how strong a lot of the other AP carries are. Like if you put like a Gragas into like a Zarya or a Tristana, he's just gonna get rolled the entire game. But like I think that there's flexibility here that I'd like to see taken more advantage of from WRL teams that I just don't think is. Um, and so Gragas is probably going to support. In response, Ornn Camille. So the Ornn pick kind of locks them out of Camille Galio, but that's fine because, you know, it's whatever. The only thing that's interesting here is where is this Camille actually going to go? Because we saw her playing into the Fiora last game, and Dawn 128 was obliterating SMY in the matchup. For those of you that remember my complaints in Game 1 about the Fiora Camille matchup, I think that Dawn 128 didn't play it to its fullest. I think he has to hold riposte in versus the Camille, especially once she has 5 and has her ultimate. But it was like he was like a good 1k ahead for 95% of the game. And like Camille never really got back in, except for when they got an Eve gank on the Fiora. I think it was like 10 minutes in. So like Camille did not do super well, which is why it's really interesting that they're going back to her immediately when Fiora is still on the board. Um, like that to me is not great. I suppose like there is an argument to be made that Camille didn't necessarily like own herself last game, right? Like she did get ganked at 225 on the Fiddlesticks timer, top gank with ult plus Fiora ult, but that ult was, or that gank was able to happen because Fiora had prio the entire time, and just obliterated her in the matchup. Fiora was like 5 and like I think about a fourth, and Camille was like 4 and 3/4. Like it was not close in terms of how the matchup was going. That's in terms of XP, by the way. So I don't like this pick at all. I don't think this is good. Like I've been saying pretty vocally, I think that Camille is massively overrated. And I think she's been massively overrated for a long time. Like, she's just been getting picked when she doesn't deserve it at all. Like, her stats aren't that great, and, like, although her ultimate is really nice, it doesn't actually do that much in terms of team fighting if you don't have, like, some sort of wombo combo on top of it, so I'm not a huge fan. In response, Zeri, Jax. Yeah, this is just... So, I'm a huge fan of this first three because it sort of fits into two themes, right? You can go like an anti-engage comp, or you can go like an engage comp. So I'm gonna just put anti, uh, or you could go engage. Love that my fans have started being annoying. But with these three, right, like Jax can be anti-engage with his Counter Strike, playing more defensively. Same with Zeri. If you just play to like get cheesy hop over walls. Gragas as well. But they also all have really good engage tools. Like if Zeri instead uses her hopping over walls plus ult offensively to get a lot of damage in. Jax, leap counter strike, Gragas, wombo combo, body slam, ultimate, like that sort of stuff. So they've got like multiple themes that they can go to here. Plus, these champions are all very good in isolation and I think synergize very well together. So I like this so far. On the other side, we see a Shen pick. So Shen Camille has been pretty popular. It's sort of the new Galio Camille in terms of like the combo. Basically, the idea is that like Camille will just Hextech Ultimatum. Excuse my shitty Hextech Ultimatum drawing. This will be Camille, and then this will be the enemy. We're gonna actually change that up. We're gonna use pink. So Camille will just Hextech Ultimatum. This will be her, and then this will be the enemy. Let's draw a better circle. That'll be the enemy, and then Shen will just pop his ult on top of Camille, and then just immediately get a dash and so a taunt on there, as the Hextech Ultimatum either is fading or like once it's about halfway done, and it's just free gank. 2v1 pretty easy. So that's sort of the idea there. I'm not a huge fan of this first three. I think that like you've got a champion that's losing prio early and a champion that really wants to have prio early on whichever strong side he's playing for. So Shen is kind of pathing bot at this point. Ignoring that, like if these two don't exist, right? Because I'm not talking in terms of like we don't know what's being picked here. So you got to ignore that like Gwen could go top here. That's the biggest point that I'm making here. Like this, to me, where like it looks like the Camille's going top, is not a great rotation. If they flex this Gwen top later, I think it's pretty good. So we're gonna see these mid lane bans, just the assassins that are good right now. So they've already got a Kali, get rid of Cassidy, and get rid of Vlad. Just probably the three best assassin E mid laners, makes sense. On the other side, Kha'Zix, Jace, looks like they're trying to get rid of junglers. I don't really see the link here between like Kha'Zix and Jace for getting rid of junglers in terms of theming. Kha'Zix makes sense, but I don't see why they'd ever go Jace here. He's a poke champion, and there's no poke on this team at all. On 4, we see a Tristana lock-in from red. This is troll, but I guess it makes sense for what you're going to do. I think Kai'Sa is better here, and I'm going to say that for 90% of things. I think people are overrating slightly the power of Bloodthirster and undervaluing just pure AP Kai'Sa. I think that is insanely good. Like Riftmaker, Runons, Liandry's kind of builds, I think are very good. But a lot of Kaisers are going the ass. Again, I'm going to say it again, ass builds. They're going like Duskblade, Runon's, Riftmaker, and none of those items have any sort of synergy with each other in terms of like an overall build. Those kind of builds are ass. I talked about it in game 1. If you're interested in more depth, go check that out. Hopefully you're coming here from game 1, but I would imagine not. I don't know. YouTube's fucking weird, man. In response, we see Lee Sin. Lee Sin is a bait champion. I've been wanting to talk about this for a long, long time. there are the Scrim God champions. I will just Scrim Gods, okay? Scrim Gods. On top of the tier list is Lee Sin, okay? This champion thrives in chaotic, hyper aggro environments, which is what scrims are. So what happens is you play him in scrims, you get a bunch of fucking wins, and then you play him on stage and he gets dumpstered fucking constantly. Because what people realize is that he's not actually that good if you just don't let him get early pressure. Like if he doesn't get pressure within like 2 to 3 minutes, the game is over. Especially into something like a Shen, where he will never win the jungle matchup post level 5. Even post first item, I think it's fucking impossible. Um, and so if he doesn't get super early invades and super early jungle pressure, he gets rolled. He has an awful fucking matchup into 90% of junglers. He loses to like Evelyn, already banned, but like anybody that doesn't just immediately fold to early jungle pressure, he loses to. Super fucking hard. If he guesses wrong on his invades, he loses super fucking hard. He is an awful fucking champion that doesn't have any upsides. It also is just weird to pick here. I don't like it at all. I think it's just bad. I understand the idea that they're going for like a full engage comp with a Lee Sin, but if you're going to do that, I'd rather have a different jungler like Wukong. I'm gonna keep saying Wukong because Chinese Wild Rift is weird, and it's sort of like normal PC League of Legends, where champions that get buffed don't get played even though they're really good, and like champions don't get nerfed, but they just fall off the face of the fucking earth. Wukong is one of the latter, not the former, where he had 0 patch changes, fell off the face of the earth. He is still extremely good at what he does, which is being an engaged champion that has very good skirmishing. And that is what they are looking for. As that, like, this is what FPX are looking for. They see Lee Sin as an engaged champion, right? Using kick and like Sonic Wave plus Safeguard, right? You're gonna get a big kick onto somebody that'll, get you some sort of big engage, and they see him as an early skirmishing champion. Wukong does the exact same thing but better, which is why they should pick Wukong here. I also don't mind Aatrox in that scenario. I think Aatrox fits this composition better. The other thing is, I don't like Lee Sin into any of these champions because all of these champions have mobility, right? Again, so far we're ignoring this because this doesn't exist in our mind. We can only play with what we've seen, and what we've seen are these guys. Well, okay, let's say you kick Tristana. She'll have flash, exhaust, and rocket jump. She'll rocket jump out. If you chase her, she'll flash and exhaust you, and by that time you're probably dead because she's kiting you out. Well, let's say you kick Shen. First of all, he's a tank. Second of all, that's great for him because he'll just pop his shield from auto attacks and then go taunt your entire team. And then he's loving life. Camille, if you kick her, she will either hook shot out or just use that to grab a Hextech ultimatum. If you kick Ornn, he's a tank again. He also has a dash out, and if you kick him, he'll just QE and stun your entire team. It makes no sense. This is this is awful. It's bad. It's awful. I don't like it. This champion is bait, and we're gonna still pick him. Lee Sin, it's fine. Kong looked good on it last game. I wasn't a huge fan of it in general. I think that the reason that it looked so good was because he got a kill level 1 on the Ashe. I think this is again bait. Something like the Kaisa here I'd prefer because she just gives you like Kaisa's both a poke and an engage champion. Like she's really good as a secondary follow up engage, and I think that that's what this comp sort of lacks is like anybody to just like follow up and make sure a kill goes through. I also just like having Kaisa to thin people out, especially if you're gonna pick Lee Sin here. I think it's really nice to have some sort of like just meat shield thinning champion, which Kaisa really fits. R5 Gwen. I like this. I think that it sort of makes it really hard for Gwen loves when people run at her. She's sort of like Renekton in that way, except she's AP. But what this comp needs is it needs a lot of AP, right? All 80. This is all 80 over here. And then they need somebody that likes when they run at them. I also don't know if she's going to be jungle or not. She could very well be top lane. I prefer her jungle so that when you're getting ganks off, it's going to be a mixed AD AP. However, it's likely going to be like the Shen jungle, Gwen mid, which I think is also probably fine. The only issue with Gwen mid is that she's probably going to lose until she gets Riftmaker. Uh, but I don't know if she's actually going to get Riftmaker before first Drake, because I'd expect whoever is playing mid here, SkyFL follows me on Twitter by the way, um, to probably try to deny a bunch of XP against her. Um, yeah, so that's sort of what I'm expecting here. I don't mind this. I think it's actually a very good pick, and I think that it takes advantage of what's going on here. Gwen also sort of immune to Lucian, immune to Zeri, immune to Gragas. Not really immune to Jax. It is kind of annoying if Jax jumps on her, but like she doesn't mind that as well, right? 'Cause she can E Hollowed Mist, and then she's just chilling. Let's get into the game. So yeah, like I said, probably the Gwen mid makes the most sense. Oh, I meant to highlight this, but so you can see that they have towers for each of the teams, right? WHG, they got OMG right there. That's Trace Esports. I don't know what that is. But then we've got the guys who dropped WRLA or Rare Adam. These guys have DQ'd. They didn't field a roster and they still are here. It's just really funny. First of all, it's really fucking annoying that they don't show the minimap level 1, but so this is a similar setup to last game. Um, again, this is something that I'd keep an eye out. I imagine teams have actual scouts at this point, but we've seen the same setup from Thunder Talk, which is this ward right here, twice in a row now. So you need to make sure you're varying your setups, especially as a WRL team. I think that a lot of teams aren't considering that it's important to vary setups here. I'd like to see, like I'm against the pink ward run. Like I'm against the pink ward and blue bush. Give me, I'm gonna pause so that we can talk about the mini map once it pops up real quick. If you give me a second, I'm on early trading. Okay, cool. So I wanted to talk about this, which is I'm against the pink ward recall run towards red in competitive because I think it makes you too telegraphed and it makes you too late. What I like to see and what I've sort of grown to like is you take the pink ward, you run to the opposite side, and then you run over here. Because it means that you're not going to be late. You don't have sweeper, but you don't actually need sweeper early because you can kind of use pink ward to do the same thing. It doesn't clear vision as well while moving, and it obviously doesn't disable wards in this game. But if you just like a pop a pink ward in a bush where you're gonna gank, you can create pressure even though you haven't, gotten any sort of kills or something. Because you're gonna be like, oh, where did that pink ward come from? And then you can create pressure that way. Um, the other thing that I'm saying is I don't like that we've seen the same setup twice, which is ward here, recall, and then run out this way. That to me is super risky and like is super. It leads to you being counter stratted early. Like if they drafted a super early game team comp, or like if they had knowledge that that was what the jungler was gonna do, like I could see the Lee Sin just blind Sonic waving, and then if he hits someone, the Lucian follows up. Like that's entirely possible. So again, same word here from Dawn 128 as well. I don't like that either. Like I said, varied setups mean that like it's it's a guessing game for the enemy. I don't you don't even need to have more than two setups, I think. I think you only need two because then they have to guess. But having the same setup for both teams means that you're willing to opt into the mirror match again, which like FPX should be willing to. But if you're Thundershock, you lost the early game really badly last time, I don't see why you'd opt into that. What are we looking at for runes here? So again, we talked about last game. Fiora went entirely red runes. This time the Jax goes the green runes. Interesting. Jax not going Courage of the Colossus here. That's a pretty popular option on Jax because he does have that counter strike. And when you do that, you're obviously gonna get some damage. Okay. Love to see that. Overgrowth. So what do I love to see? Right here. You can't see it very well because it's behind the 2046, but it is Zombie Ward. You can see because there's a little poro eye right there, right next to my cursor. And once you, so we're gonna talk about Zombie Ward real quick. I am going to remind everyone that Zombie Ward is more 80, um, and it is less stacks. You only need 5 to stack Zombie Ward. You need 10. Okay, so more AD. If you all want to look it up, I believe it's like 20. I believe it's 30 to 40. 30 Eyeball Collector, 40 Zombie Ward. Less stacks. I believe it's 10 Eyeball Collector, 5 Zombie Ward. So just like obviously taking into account right what each thing is doing, this is better. Um, I can understand, especially in ranked, if you're going to take Eyeball Collector, because people tend not to use wards for some fucking reason in ranked. Really fucking annoying if you're like me and you take Zombie Ward because you care about what's actually mathematically correct. The other thing to consider is that Eyeball Collector has a so let's say that like this is value. Um, we'll say that this is value because you always want to put your changing on the y-axis, and this will be time because time is linear. So, in terms of like value and time, right? If you're above this bar, that means you're getting more value than what you're expecting for the time. What the bar actually is like debatable in terms of like where it should be, but Eyeball Collector has a finite value, right? Let's say you hit max stacks 3 minutes into the game, right? It does not do anything else past that point, right? Right here. Let me use a different color to. We're gonna use a different color to demonstrate here because I think it's important. So let's say that like early in the game you get 10 kills for some reason, right? You're playing ranked, you snowball. Right there, at this point, Eyeball Collector no longer has value because you've gotten all you can out of it, right? Let's say on the other hand, Zombie Ward. You like stack it just like slightly later because you don't get as many kills, um, and then it stops here, right? So this is you have fully stacked Zombie Ward. Okay, what will the graph look like after you have fully stacked Zombie Ward? If you're if you're genuinely like trying to get better, I'd ask yourself to pause here and like just say an answer out loud or something. Um, I'll give you like 1, 2, 3 seconds. Okay, we're going into it. So what the graph here is going to look like is it's going to look like this, right? Where there's like not as much value as before, right? Because you can see like the spike here is pretty big from like this point to this point, but there is like still some value here. And where are you getting this value from, right? It's like, okay, cool. Uh, it's like, okay, cool, right? Like at this point, to this point, Eyeball Collector is slightly better, but like, look at all this additional value that you're getting from Zombie Ward. How do you get this value, right? Where are you getting this idea that you have additional value from Zombie Ward? It's very simple. The Zombie Ward itself is added value, right? And that is the most important thing to recognize when you're comparing Eyeball Collector and Zombie Ward, because even if they had the same amount of AD and like took the same amount of stacks, Zombie Ward is still better unless Eyeball Collector gives more AD objectively. Okay? In which case there's a debate in terms of like, is the vision provided from Zombie Ward better versus the extra AD on Eyeball Collector? But in Wild Rift, there is no trade-off. There is no reason to take Eyeball Collector ever. And so if you ever see a pro player with Eyeball Collector, you can tell them that they are wrong. Because mathematically they are wrong. In terms of objective value that Vision is providing, they are wrong, right? In terms of time to stack, especially in pro play, where games aren't as volatile and it's likely to not get like multiple kills, they are wrong. That is the most important thing to recognize whenever anyone tries to debate you, Eyeball Collector versus Zombie Ward, right? Zombie Ward is just better. Okay, moving into Lucian. Interesting Lucian going Honey Fruit here. Bone plating is oftentimes a more popular second option. I guess to me this seems that like he's not expecting to take a bunch of like trades super often. Like he's wanting the extra gold. He doesn't think he's gonna take a ton of damage, and he thinks this lane is relatively gonna be safe for him at least. Zeri going pretty standard stuff. Like I said, you could go Alacrity here. Just depends on preference. Uh, Again, like I said, last game, not a huge fan of water walking in general. I think that Demolish is just better because it gets you to like it. First of all, it speeds your ADC and it gets you to spikes quicker. Just on a interesting going lethal tempo here. Lethal tempo is relatively unpopular in terms of runes. Other than that, normal stuff. Normal stuff on Gwen. Normal stuff on Shen. Interesting not going overgrowth here, instead going whatever the haste rune is. Camille going green plus Giant Slayer is normal. Okay. Give me 1 second to turn the brightness up because it's a little bit dark in my room. Okay, so bunch of we're gonna rewind here. So Camille already used W. Okay, so Jax uses Counter Strike. Camille uses W. This is why it's really helpful to know that your time frame in terms of like, hey, what's going on. So first of all, we see immediately minions get dragged this way. They drop aggro. They drop aggro onto Jax, and then they don't actually do a ton of damage to Jax. So his wave is going to be pushing out because he has more health. It's so Camille's cooldown comes off her passive comes off cooldown. She wants to trade. She gets the fleet footwork proc. Again, interesting going fleet footwork again. Uh, that's something to consider. Didn't even think about that. Jax is gonna trade again. So we gotta go frame. That one was insane, by the way. Look at how close the time on this is. You can see right there, barrier gets popped again. Great micro plays here from the Jax. So the Camille does get some HP regen if she hits this outer area on her W. So she gets some HP regen, but uh, still drawing aggro from the minions means she's still taking some damage. And at this point, this lane is over. This Jax can probably now zone this Camille off wave. Once he does, she's going to be denied XP, and yeah, it's kind of impossible to play. Yeah, so you can see here, Jax is just now stacking his wave. Camille can grab Honey Fruit, but she's going to be like behind in XP. You can see level 1 versus level 2 there. So it is going to be insanely hard to play. On the other hand, this is going as expected, unfortunately, for Z. Love to see people that follow me on Twitter winning, though. Great stuff. So range versus melee matchups, you kind of just gotta let the wave slow push into you. If the Lucian, I expect he's probably just gonna deny as much CS as possible, deny as much XP as possible. Try to make him either step forward and give up health and or mana to actually get the CS that he needs and the XP that he needs. I'm not sure why we switched off of top lane for this, but oh, this is the other thing that I need to figure out. And this is my like ask for help. If anybody knows how the fuck actually getting aggro works in this game, that would be nice because I think it has to do with proximity to the minions of like your champion. Because like right here, I'm pretty sure this attack should draw aggro, but it looks like it doesn't from any of the minions. Oh, actually, does it? Oh, it does. Wait, no. No, it doesn't. So it's focused on that, focused on that. Yeah, so it doesn't actually draw aggro here, which is super weird to me. Yeah, so Gwen has to burn sums there to actually get the CS, right? You see her burn sprint there, try to force Sky FL back. And then this is just so X-Spy is making a good play here. So what they do, right? Lee Sin invades towards the Raptors. I'm pretty sure he skips it because they see the early ward. Yeah, so again, this is something I didn't talk about it super early, but this is again Shen skipping something. He has to skip both. Oh, that's so fucking awful, man. Um, so we're gonna have to. I gotta talk about this shit because this is fucking good ass shit from FPX. So, for those of you that remember what I talked about last game, um, the the TLDR is oftentimes if you're a jungler, it is advantageous in certain scenarios to skip camps to keep the enemy guessing on where you are, right? Like, if you're like, okay, well, there's a camp on my, we know there's a ward here. Let me draw dot ward there, right? You know that as the Shen, so you're gonna start red, you're gonna skip it, you're gonna go down this way and then try to clear all these, right? The issue, wait, what? Did Lee Sin already clear his red too? Wait, what the fuck happened here? I was not paying attention to the minimap. So Lee Sin just balls to the wall invades. Well, I guess you can do that. I was not paying attention to that. This is just, you don't like to do that. So Lee Sin's just going to get a free invade here because Shen starts blue. I guess he's passing topside to try to help the Camille because he expects the Camille to lose, which makes sense. So, because Shen passed topside, Lee Sin just goes boom, boom, boom. They don't see the Shen on either this ward or this ward, so they assume he starts over here. Once they do that, they can then actually just go, he's pathing south to north. That means that the Lee Sin can then path east to west. And so the Lee Sin's going to get two of those camps. This means this Shen is turbo fucked. Um, so yeah, he gets these. They know the Lee Sin's invaded because it's highly unlikely that the Lee Sin could actually get a different red buff. Like, he can't take the time to go red. The amount of time that it would take for Lee Sin to go like this and then like this over here is not worth it and doesn't make sense as a path. So they should know that he's invaded their red. The issue here is that so normally when you see people do this like east to west passing, uh you'll see the opponent jungler go west to east in terms of pathing. But the issue with that in this scenario is that none of his lanes have prio. Like you can see down here that he's getting shoved in. This wave is, it's a big stacking wave for Lucian. We saw about 30 seconds ago in terms of map time that Jax has a big stacking wave. So there's not actually a ton going on here that's favorable for the Shen. This is why I didn't like the draft in terms of prio. I think that you want to have at least one lane that's winning if you're playing Shen, because otherwise this early game is just, it's so fucking hard to play. Um, but they know the Lee Sin invaded. Looks like he's so normally if you hear me on this channel, I'll talk a lot about like how I don't like when people auto. Uh, I think that a lot of pro players could do a better job of denying CS. In this scenario, it's fine because I think it's very clear that he's just trying to get the crash here. He's got a big ass wave. He's got 1K, which means that if he recalls, he should have boots, right? No, he doesn't have boots. He has 500. He has 500 in the bank. You need 900 for boots. Yeah, I don't see why he'd recall here. I don't like this then. So what am I talking about? Boots are 1400. At least 90% of boots are, right? So that is 500 for the component and 400 for boots, and then 500 more for whatever combined cost, right? So base component 500. So whenever you're playing, you're gonna need 900 on your first recall to get the boots. That's what I'm looking for here. He only has 1K with the 500 that he's gotten for the longsword included there. So I'm not a huge fan of that. In this scenario, like I said, I'd rather see him just continue to hold wave here. Like, don't auto any of these minions, deny as much CS as possible, and then when you do that, just like let a bunch of these minions die, deny as much CS, deny as much XP as possible, and then once this next wave crashes, you should have 1400. You'll be able to get the recall off. You can see X by here. This is just good jungling. So he knows Lee Sin invaded. He's over in this area, so he's just coming to hover. Make sure his lane doesn't get ganked. Because again, if Gwen dies here, this game is over. This is what one. So, like, let's just again, if Gwen dies here, this is about I think yeah, it's probably about 300 gold plus whatever kill they get. So the lane would be over. And then SkyFL. Again, this is another one of those because he is able to have pry out. He can just check to make sure that there's no east to west jungling going on. So he just walks in here, hits the honey fruit that way, making sure that Shen isn't doing anything like that. Oh, this is okay. Oh, this is so bad. This is so bad for the Camille. So first of all, she's missing. Let's just. I'm gonna move this over this way temporarily. Um, so the Lee Sin doesn't have to get a gank here. Like him getting a kill would be nice, but it's not worth anything. So she is missing 60. We're just gonna 60, 80. And then she's missing 40, 80, 120, 160, 200. 340 gold. She's missing 340 gold plus however much XP that is. I don't know the XP math because it's really hard to fucking figure out in this game. So, right, she's out of XP range. It's probably like about here. Um, if you're wondering what XP range is, I'm pretty sure it's just like if you aren't CSing, you'll get like half the gold and the XP. So that's what you should be looking at in terms of like, am I getting XP? And then Lee Sin's also going to be able to get the Krugs. Oh, this game is so fucking over, man. Um, Basically, this is about as bad as it can go for the Camille. Um, Also, like I said, the Camille hasn't won top lane once. She's been getting fisted both games. Can we stop picking this champion, please? Jax also gets to just proxy wave. Lee Sin's just going to absorb XP. I don't like that they're letting her back in here. I think that Lee Sin should just hover here and continue to threaten a gank. Because if you continue to threaten a gank, you just make sure she actually can't play the game. SMY moves, which is again, this is just a good move here from SMY, making sure that your Camille doesn't actually just lose the game on the spot. You can see here though, 4.5, 3 3/4. Game is insanely hard to play at this point for the Camille. Okay. Sin going Vamp Boots first. Interesting. So, uh, again, this is just a more good macro. The Lee Sin's just going to counter jungle and continue to. He sees the Shen show topside, so Lee Sin just goes this way and counter jungles. Pretty easy, like in terms of, oh, you know, hey, where's Lee Sin? or where's Shen? Shen is here. I can just do this thing on the opposite side of the map. Might even try to set up for a gank bot lane here. We'll see. That seems like the most obvious choice. Don 128, just making sure this wave doesn't crash. Easier to CS and no shenanigans. Oh boy, we get a pause. How wonderful of the editors to cut out that pause. X by invades, that's risky in terms of like what's going on. But I guess it's fine. I think he's probably just expecting Lee Sin to be counter jungling. And Lee Sin's going to continue to counter jungle. He should see that on vision. Yeah, this game is not fun to play though. 1.4k gold lead at 3.5 minutes or 3:45, right? So a lot of that's concentrated in top. I would expect that this is pretty even. We can see that this is about a 200 gold lead, but I'd expect most of this lead is top jungle. Probably like Lee Sin has like 500-600. Jax probably has like 600 as well. So this is the biggest issue with the Ornn Gragas matchup that I talked about a little bit last game. But basically, whenever you use Call of the Forge God, if Gragas just pops his ult straight on top of you, you can't actually get the second proc of it. So it's not actually that useful. It's why you'll see a lot of Ornns actually go QSS enchant. So they'll pop Call of the Forge God, and then once the Gragas tries to cast, they'll QSS in response. Everybody getting their 415, 417 recalls off. Just trying to make sure that they can have their items for Drake. Lane swap happens. I don't think they have vision on Tristana recalling, but if they do, they're probably going to shove this. Wouldn't expect. Doesn't seem surprising to try to insta-shove anyways. Cesare going BT. Looks like Lucian's going. What the fuck is that build? So, Phage into Nashers? That's a little sus to me, but okay. Tristana just finished BT because she didn't go boots. Interesting. They just rush down Herald. I mean, that's a good play. Just rush down Herald. Now you can drop Herald mid, try to get Drake pressure. Yeah, they know nobody's on Drake. They'll probably just drop Herald mid. Kong needs like 2 more autos to kill the turret. Force Tristana flash. And then go do Drake. In the meantime, you can see that they do get a gank onto the Lucian. Looks like Gwen just crashes the wave. Yeah, so she just crashes the wave. Shen ults on top of her. Lucian can't get out. Because they know Shen just used ult, this is a free Drake as well. So, yeah, they're feeling pretty good here. This is really good stuff from FPX so far. Like I said, if you're playing Lee Sin, you need to get hyper early game pressure. And Jingdo 7 has done that. I would have liked to have seen the Lucian try to push the lead a little bit more in mid, because like I feel like once this matchup, like once Gwen gets her first item, I feel like this matchup shifts entirely in her favor. Because if Lucian tries anything in terms of like getting kill pressure, she'll just pop Hollowed Mist and then run at him and regen all her health. And so that like feels impossible to like play out effectively. Um, I don't really like that. So I think that Lucian should have tried to push his lead a little more. The other thing that I think is really nice and that I'm going to continue to harp on is that Camille is a fucking dog shit champion that doesn't get to play the game against literally any top laner that isn't like D tier. Um, like Camille Aatrox, probably Aatrox favored. Camille Jax, Camille Fiora, all not Camille favored. Like literally no matchup. Like Riven, I think is probably the only Camille favored matchup that is like a playable top laner. I don't like her into Renekton. I don't think that she's great into Garen. I think she's probably fine into Garen. She probably loses to Gwen as well. Like there's nothing that she beats. It looks like they just opt for the cross map play from Thunder Talk. Again, this was about the same lead that FPX had coming out of the early game last time, but they weren't able to convert. So I'm not. Although I'd like to see FPX try to get a dub here, I know they don't. It'll be interesting because I don't remember these games very well. I know that FPX loses 2-0. I don't remember exactly why they lose 2-0. It'll be interesting to see exactly why that happens. Anything interesting happening? No. Gwen's got Riftmaker and yeah. Like, once Gwen has these two items, I feel like, what the fuck is that build? Um, but once Gwen has these two, and then that, I think this matchup is, like, impossible, because you either need to have healing reduction over here somewhere, or she's just gonna, like, Hollowed Mist, and then anytime you try to poke her down, she's gonna reach on up all her HP. Also, this build is, what the fuck? So it's Phage into Runons. So the popular Lucian build was Cleaver. And then like maybe with like you could go like Essence Reaver or Manamune first, and then you'd go like Bork or something, right? That's like the popular build. And then like Mana over here, Manamune. Uh, Now you can insert stuff like the Runons in there. We saw Nashers in here as well previously. So like Lucian has different build paths. Crit isn't great on him. He doesn't really like it a ton. But this is not what I would expect. Like I think you just need to finish that first item. I don't like doing what he's doing here. Again, you can just see how hard this matchup is for Lucian and why I said I feel like he probably should have pushed his lead way more. So they're gonna get this what 2 kills plus turret. So on the opposite side of the map, FPX are gonna try to push this wave out, get the turret here. Might just pull Zeri down as well. You could also send Zeri like to this turret and then just have her play defense. I don't know if that's actually viable though. We'll see. So it looks like they're having Zeri pushed out mid wave super far in. Jax is just gonna get the other turret. So turret for turret, I think is it's obviously not great when you give up 2 kills as well on the other side of the map, but turret for turret is a fine trade, and then it's 2 kills plus whatever XP. So also the Ornn Call of the Forge God, that hitbox is ridiculous. By the way, yeah. Again, this is the biggest issue of this like double squishy comp into like the AD mid laners is that like you're never gonna have side lane pressure, and I think that has been a huge issue for FPX in these two games. Is like there has been no side lane pressure except for one side, and on the other side it's been getting shoved in constantly, and they've had to like go try to defend it, and that's been really bad for them. Like it's why they got those couple kills earlier as well. Also, Lee Sin can no longer do his invade stuff. Turns out that when you pick a champion that doesn't scale, he doesn't scale. Who could have thought? Like, I genuinely think that Jingo 7 has played this game well, but he's not a champion that does nothing. Like, you're physically limiting what your jungler can do when you put him on Lee Sin. It's not like your jungler becomes a worse jungler. It's like if you gave somebody who's a NASCAR driver a tricycle. Like that's what it looks like whenever anyone like in a competitive sense plays Lee Sin in jungle. God, this is such an okay. So let's start here, right? This is all normal shit. I maintain that I don't like anyone trading on side lanes if Shen exists. Like if you have Shen in the game, you have to play like it's like an Evelyn because they both kind of pop out of nowhere and then just do some bullshit. That's like the theme, okay? That's our theme for this video is to popping out of nowhere and doing some fucking bullshit. But I don't like that they're, trading on side lane because this means that like, yeah, this stuff happens and then you get almost owned. Jingo 7, really good kick here. They get that kill onto X-Buy, and then I think they just chase a little too far here. Like, the moment you take like 3 turret shots, it's like, oh boy. Again, great flash. Soil plays this very well. Nice flash. Gets the kill, gets his reset, and then Ornn's also trapped under turret. Like, this is like the second member of this team that's trapped under turret. This area is now dead. There's nothing she can do. Just an awful, like, they were like, oh, we have a play here, but like they got way too greedy. And they're getting a mid turret. Oh, this is so bad. Okay. Interesting Gwen going Crown second instead of Nashers. I think that makes more sense if you're a lane build. I don't really like it in jungle, because I think you need a lot of damage in jungle now to make sure that you're clearing effectively. Greg is doing the exact same thing as last game. The Dawn Shroud I'm not a fan of. Also, Magnetron Entrant is dog shit. I don't know why we are out. If anyone, this is the sign of a bad fucking build right here. This item is dog shit. Does nothing. So Jack's going pretty normal. Sunder into Riftmaker build here. Lee Sin going Serpent's Fang, probably Cleaver. What it looks like makes sense. Serpent's Fang, anti-Shen item, pretty good for lethality. You could also go Duskblade here. I think that's fine. I've been a big fan of Duskblade on non-ADCs. I don't think it's good on ADCs, but people like to build it anyways. I don't like this Lucian build at all. I think this is really bad. Like you not finishing Cleaver, I think is just a huge detriment here. Yeah. Okay, Mountain Drake. Advantage just swung back to Thunder Talk. Um, 1 second. We're gonna do some counting. So it looks like So it looks like this wave is gonna push out. Um, this wave is even. There's nothing happening here. And then this wave looks like it's even as well. So this is good for FPX if they can win and they can get topside. Cause probably get that turret. Um, that's about it though. There's not a lot else that they can make off of it. No dragon vision kind of sucks. They don't have a way in. They have to come from the bottom side of the river. So you can see they try to come in this way. They're zoned out, so they just walk all the way around. Doesn't really matter, but I think that coming from this way is a lot safer because you can like easily walk over here and just check to make sure that there's nobody over here. Like over here, you've really got to be careful about this wall. Back when I was coaching Imperius, I'd be like, yeah, just like if you're playing a Kali, I'd tell Jotu to just stand on this wall, because it's just like you can go over this way with the Gwenny. I don't know if it shows. I'm not 100% sure if it shows here if you go over that into that bush. But even then, it's just like you have a really easy flank angle from just going this way, and then like as they step up, you just put pressure behind them. And that it's not easy to go like over here and clear out the Gwen either, so I think it's really good. I think this is a worse angle to come from, like if you're going around this way. I think coming from this angle, you're a little bit safer from flanks. So this is also the secondary adjustment that we've seen from Orange. First, I'm gonna say, wow, called it. Second of all, what we've seen from Orange, you can see they see the call of the Forge God, and Orin is standing way, way, way back here. Um, Normally, what you'd expect is like your frontliner, your Alistar, your Nautilus, or Gragas, whatever, to be standing like over here in this area, like around where I've sort of made these lines. Orn's standing back here so that he can just get the call of the Forge God, send it down the river, and then get a bunch of knockups. And it also stops, probably doesn't have QSS at this point because we saw the build a few minutes ago. Didn't have the QSS at all, which means that he has to be careful about the Gragas cast and knocking him out of the Call of the Forge God. To avoid that, he's going to do this. We'll see if Dawn 128 gets the stun off in time, though. Yeah, so sending the Call of the Forge God down that way. Zeri pops ultimate, but you can just see, like, the Gwen is just zoning them so hard. It's impossible to play the game. Also, neither jungler did anything. Holy shit. Looks like they're trying to get this bot turret. An advantage of Tristana is that she is kind of fucking stupid. In terms of, like, she can just kind of run at shit and knock it down for turrets. So again, pay attention to the Gwen, pay attention to the Tristana. They were the biggest damage dealers in that. But Tristana's just going to auto the Drake. She's going to rocket jump down this way. And then Gwen's going to come over this wall. Oh, she doesn't even rocket jump. She just wails on the Gragas. And then Dawn 128 tries to come from a flank. Doesn't even get anything, which is unfortunate. So again, you can see that they've pushed out this wave. This wave will probably get pushed out pretty soon as well. Mid lane is probably going to remain even. But like I said, FPX, no side pressure. Thunder Talk, literally a fuck ton. Been a huge impact through both of these games, is not having side pressure from Thunder Talk or FPX. So what are we looking at here? This is probably the Lucian answer to the Gwen. You could go Mauve or Malchus here. I think Wits End makes slightly more sense for Lucian, so I don't mind it. Like I said, this is the standard build that you're probably going to see on 90% of Zeres, unless they go the build that we saw in Game 1, the Triforce Manamune build. Starting going Bloodthirster, Quick Blades, Static Blaster. I mean, that's fine, I guess. Shen going a pretty standard Shen build. Camille, that's fine, I guess. Looks like he's going Dawn Guard as well. So nothing interesting in terms of. He didn't actually go QSS, which is slightly interesting for the Ornn. Going the Stasis instead. So yeah, just again, clear our vision around Baron. Try to get some pressure around there. Make sure you have the prio, especially on bot side. Means that the Gwen can rotate up. So this is just a good catch out. It looks like he's just gonna walk in here, body slam Cask. Tristan is caught out at this point, which means they kind of have to overextend to save her. She flashes QSS Shenult, then Rocket jumps out as well, but this leaves SMY sort of in the dust, uh, and then he's gonna get caught out as well. Nice play here. Again, Shen very useful there. You can sort of see the power. Interesting. Who has Rocket Belt? Looks like Shen. Interesting that Shen has Rocket Belt if he does have Rocket Belt there. So super good deep vision here. You can see one in Tribush, one in a little, I don't know, passageway there. No vision on Baron. They might be able to sneak this. Tristana and Gwen melt this Baron. Yeah, so they expect Chow to. So I'm not sure if they think that there's more vision. The way that they played that made me think that they think there's more vision here, right? Because it looks like they were trying to bait with the Tristana autoing, and then you saw X-By sitting right here, and then Gwen sitting like right there. TTZ, I believe. So you saw them just trying to collapse onto that Gragas immediately. So I think they think that there's more vision there. Again, we didn't even get to see that ward earlier, but there's another ward right there. Ward right here just faded as well, so hopefully they reestablish that deep vision. If you're Thunder Talk, that's what you're looking for. Again, really important for junglers to make sure that they have the camps late game, because those are where you're getting a lot of the gold. Like, the camps aren't worth a ton, but those conservation procs are insanely valuable past, like, 7-8 minutes. I don't know why they're fighting this. This makes no sense to fight. I think they just thought they had the Jax cut out here, and they didn't actually, so they were like, we'll fight it anyways. Looks like Botway is pushing out, so FPX are gonna go have to deal with that. Probably also gonna have top push as well. Like I said, I'm gonna rehash this bad boy a bunch, but side pressure is winning the Thunder Talk side of the games right now. Like, we talk about where FPX has sort of had to make a bunch of misplays. It's been with Thunder Talk has gotten a bunch of side pressure, in terms of like how they're playing the game. Yeah. I hope to see more Gwen mid. I've I've maintained that this double squishy comp that like with a side laner who can't side lane, I think it's just so bad. Um, like I just don't like it, and I think that Gwen, I think like Garen as well is a really good punish to a lot of these side laners who can't side lane in competitive. So you can see here FPX trying to take control of bot side vision. I don't know if they have a ward over here in Tribush. We just were on the Gwen. I hope they'll screen back real quick. Doesn't look like they do, but they've also got the scuttle as well, so it's just a ton of deep vision. So they now know where everybody is. They can see the Shen as well. So this is again another benefit of the Shen is that his ultimate is just a TP on wheels, basically, where they can try to engage onto these two, but if they do, the Shen will just TP. They're gonna lose top prio as well, so it's really hard to try to start this Drake. And if anybody goes to match the Shen, that means that the Shen will just TP and they have a mismatch over here. That's the end of the game. That's insane. I thought they would actually get past this. So again, what sort of happens here? So this Gragas is gonna go in. He does catch out the Camille. Ah, I'm on my go back to my car start. He does catch out the Camille sort of, but like Camille doesn't mind this. She just pops the Hextech ultimatum, and then the Orange is gonna send the horn this way. Means they've got the Gragas for free. Once they got the Gragas, he's gonna be dead. They're gonna catch out. What is that? Lucian. Lucian forced to pop flash. Now Jax is solo in the back line. Can't get any help. He's gonna get demolished. And then, although he does, get a kick, the game is over. So, sort of talking about this game and then the series as a whole. Like I said, I think a big issue from FPX is like I'm gonna say team fighting. I don't think it's like that big of an issue in terms of like, hey, like what do we need to fix? Like I think it's an easy fix as well. But I think that it's one of those things that you're like, if you're the coach of FPX here, you're probably like, we need to adjust our team fighting because this is like both games have been lost to just like a bad team fight where one of our members gets caught out after getting either some sort of slight advantage or like trying to take an engage. And so that's the thing that I would be immediately addressing. In like the long term, I think that they need to figure out their macro in terms of side lane pressure, right? Because I said it in game one and I'm going to say it in game two. Both of these games, they're like the FPX squad has gotten sort of lost in the sauce on mid lane. I think like they're putting way too much emphasis on mid lane. Like we've seen 4 or 5 man groups in mid lane pretty consistently dropping like top pressure or bot pressure, and then that seems to really hurt them in the long run because it feels like they are very cramped and they don't have the opportunity to make moves that other teams like Thundertalk did. Yeah, that's all I got though. Wow, shorter one. Have a nice day.